Hello and welcome to my channel Happy Hours. In my last video I discussed about the self-help groups and about its need in the society. In this video I am going to proceed further from the last video with the discussion about the limitation of self-help groups, some solution to resolve the problem of self-help groups, and about the citizen charter, its history and the components also. So what are we waiting for? Let's jump to the first topic, which is about the limitation of self-help groups. The first limitation is the sustainability of self-help group initiatives beyond initial support. The government restricts its contribution to the self-help group by providing first the initial setting up of the group, secondly initial vocational training required, and thirdly the initial funding of start a micro enterprise. However, long-term viability self-help group depends upon continued support and effective internal management, which requires strong leadership, community support, and the ability to generate sufficient revenue to cover the operational cost. From the government's end, this requires continued handholding, which is absent. Second one is the issue of over-reliance on the external aid. External aid here means the aid or finances which are being generated in the form of grants rather than being self-generated. Any business model can be sustainable when they are able to generate self-aid. If they are fully dependent on external aid, then they will face financial issues when the grants will not come. So, they should be self-funded, self-economically sufficient, but in India there is no such case. For expansion of any business, money is required and they are borrowing the loan for that. If they are borrowing loan for expansion, then that is reasonable. But if the self-help groups are taking loan for survival, then they cannot survive for long term. So funding becomes the very big issue with the self-help group. The self-help groups face significant challenge due to their dependency on external aid, which can hinder their self-sustainability and long-term viability, especially in those areas which are disaster affected. The third one is addressing the intersectional challenge. Intersectional challenges are like caste-based, religion, gender, class, and even the regional, etc. What are the primary objective of self-help group? Is to reduce poverty. But if we look for the rural area, they are facing the different problem based on caste and even on gender related issues. It is not easy to resolve the class related issues also. If we are talking about a regional, and we are going to consider the western part of India, which is like Gujarat, Maharashtra, there the self-help group are working exceptionally good. But if we are talking about states like Bihar, Odisha, which falls at the eastern side of India, there the self-help groups are not successful. If there are some exceptional cases, and this is due to illiteracy, lack of entrepreneurship. Even the people who are living in Bihar, Odisha, they are tilted towards to get a job. This is due to the lack of business infrastructure. Even the economic policies are made by government are not in the favor of businesses. But in eastern side states government, they do not have any vision for entrepreneurship. Now if even the self-help groups which are working for women, they are also facing issues in the society, means they are gender issues. Even till now the issues related to intersectional challenges are not getting resolved. The self-help group often encounter caste, class, regional challenges till now. impacting their effectiveness and inclusivity, which results into the marginalized groups are receiving fewer benefits. Next is the agricultural activities. Most of the self help groups operate at the local level, primarily engaged in the agricultural activities. This means the diverse potential of the region or the group is not being utilized. The self help groups should be introduced to the non agricultural business and provided with the state of art machinery. So there is a lack of economy and even there is no exposure. Next challenge is the lack of technology. Many self help groups use rudimentary or no technology in their operations. In the era of Industrial Revolution 4.0, uses of technology has been recognized as the most important asset to achieve success. Next one is the poor infrastructure, means lack of proper connectivity, such as lack of electricity and even the lack of roads. Next one is then very important one, and that is the politicization of self-help group. There is a political influence on the self-help group which results into the different problems faced by them. They are not being considered by the government for fund if they are not working on the basis of the government policies. So they are not getting fund and there is a degradation in their good work even. Politicians are promoting those self-help group, those who are working according to them. So this is also the very major issue with the self-help group. Now how to way forward? First is the community resource persons need to be developed for the participatory identification of those in need. Secondly, effort should be made to enhance the skills and capacities of the self-help groups. Thirdly, ensuring a uniform financial management system at all the levels of self-help groups for growth in the bank accounts, financial literacy and absorption of capacity of community members. Next one is the multiple diverse livelihoods, that is moving away from agriculture based group to small size enterprises, strengthening market linkages and forward integration is essential for sustainability of self-help groups. Next one is creating a conducive business environment and proper clusters of self-help groups within the state. Last one is the convergence between field level institutions serving the poor and the public welfare schemes in order to ensure maximum impact of self-help groups, means how it has been used today in socio-economic development schemes. We can understand this with an example. Suppose we are having some yojanas like Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. So in this we are either providing the funds to upgrade the house or government is building a new house and allotting it to the poor. There is another policy about the Har Ghar Jal Yojana, providing tap water. And another yojana is Ujjwala Yojana, where the LPG connection is provided. If we are working all the policies separated, then there is a loss. Means if suppose you are building the house and after that you are thinking that we have to provide a point for tap water, then you are going to disturb the road and again you are going to make a link. Even the LPG connection is going to be disrupted. But if suppose we are using the conversion method, it means now when we are constructing the houses, at that time only they are going to construct a gas pipeline and even a pipe for the water. So This is going to reduce the administrative cost, and even the policies are met, then they are going to understand the role of self-help group also. Before implementation, they are going to work in the process, in the conversions, so there will be less economic loss and less administrative cost also. Now I am going to proceed with the citizen charter. What is a citizen charter? Citizen charter is a tool for citizen friendly services, that is, providing services in the transparent, accountable, and responsive manner. Therefore, citizen friendly manner. The Citizen Charter Outline. What is the Citizen Charter Outline? It is a set of commitments of the organization to the citizens or the clients in order to provide services on previously defined standards, like how much time is required, what will be the quality of services, and how they are going to resolve the problem of defaulters. Now let us understand the background of Citizens Charter. In the year 1991, in United Kingdom, they introduced Citizen Charter, and it was introduced by John Major, who was the then Prime Minister of UK. In the year 1999, Tony Blair reformed it and renamed it as Citizens First. In India, it was introduced as a document in 1997 following a conference of chief ministers, which was headed by the Prime Minister, and chief secretaries, which was headed by the Cabinet Secretary. Before understanding about the Citizen Charter, what is all about, we should know what is the history behind. In United Kingdom, liberalization, privatization and globalization was taken up in the year 1970s by the then PM Margaret Thatcher. Liberalization makes the change in the administrative function, which shrinks the government. Now the functions performed by the government is also going to shrink, and the extra generated spaces provided to private sector. Now the space which is present, it is going to be occupied or be given to the private sector. What are these private sector are going to do? They are going to bring efficiency and economy in the functions. These things were positive. But a problem emerged with this, which is with the new liberalization, is that it causes marginalization of state. Now the people or the private sector is going to exploit people for profit. One sector is liberalized by government, then they can only act as a regulatory body. They do not or they cannot interfere in the private sector till they are doing something really wrong or unethical. Now this is called marginalization of state. Here the exploitation of consumers started, and it was on the regular basis because of marginalization of states. Now the states cannot ask the private sector for any doing. Now what is the marginalization of state and about the impact on the citizen? When there is marginalization, then the citizens are going to start questioning the legitimacy of state. As a taxpayer, they are going to start questioning that if we are paying extra money to get all the services provided by the state private sector, then why there is a need to pay tax, and what is the use of states? So the Citizen Charter was introduced in UK to reinstate the law's legitimacy of state. The government of United Kingdom introduced the Citizen Charter to ensure that the post LPG, at least those services which are being provided by the state shall be provided in a citizen friendly manner. And in India, LPG was introduced in 1991. So the objective behind the introduction of Citizen Charter was the same as the UK was having. Now proceeding further with the components of Citizen Charter. First component is the services to be provided by the organization. Secondly, the standards of services to be predefined. Third, a grievance redressal mechanism in case of non-fulfillment of service requests or service standards. Fourth and last is the duties of citizens or customers towards the organization. By this, I am concluding my video. If you find my video useful, kindly like, share and subscribe. Thank you.